Last of Us Challenge Runs is holding a tournament in The Last of Us Part 2 on Permadeath in January. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about how the tournament's going to work, what you need to do if you're participating, and what the rules are. So, to start with, every single attempt needs to be streamed in order to be a valid attempt. Which, for those of you who are participating who already stream, this won't be a problem at all. But if you're not a streamer yourself, you may think, oh, well, that means I can't participate, or I don't have the right equipment to do all this. I don't have a computer, I don't have a capture card, a camera, microphone, whatever else. You don't actually need any of this. We don't need to hear your voice. We don't need to see your face on screen if you don't have the capacity to do that, if you don't have the desire to do that. All you need to do is stream the actual game itself, which, as long as you've got an internet connection for your PlayStation and a YouTube or Twitch account, you can do very easily. Simply pressing the options button on your PlayStation 5, not the options button, I apologize, the media button, which is where you can save recordings and so on. It also gives you this option to broadcast, and then you can broadcast to Twitch or YouTube. And if your account's not already linked, it gives you the option to link the account and gives you instructions to follow in order to do that. And it makes it very, very simple to stream directly to Twitch or YouTube from your PlayStation. So you don't need to be a professional streamer, you don't need to have any extra equipment, and you don't need to have your face on camera, you don't need to have your voice through a microphone. That's all you need to do to take part. Now, as far as the rules go for this, the first rule is that every attempt and each round you get 3 attempts to beat grounded or moderate permadeath. Each attempt must be declared as an attempt before you start. What this means is that you can't start a run and then decide halfway through, or if you die, that wasn't a real attempt, I'm going to do another one. Equally, you can't start a run and then wait till it's getting good to go, okay, I've made some progress, this is a real attempt. You have to be able to say that before you start. And that means that you put that in the title of your stream, or in an overlay on the stream itself, or in the chat, or whatever way you do it. You have to say this is an official attempt that begins now, and like I say, you get 3 of those. So you can practice as much as you want in the time period of each round, but once it's an attempt officially, that must be declared from the off before you start the run. Other than that, when you start a game, it needs to be on New Game, not New Game Plus. You choose the difficulty that is for the category that you've entered, whether that's moderate or grounded. Now, if you choose moderate, if you've pre-ordered the game before you've bought it, then this option here, apply pre-order bonus, will appear on the screen as on. This needs to be turned off before you begin. Now, if you're playing as on grounded, that option doesn't appear at all, so that's not a problem. But if you are playing on moderate, it needs to be off. In either event, once you choose your difficulty, you need to put it on whole game permadeath, and then if you're playing on the PS5 version, whole game speedrun mode. Once we start a run, we'll agree those options that you want to proceed. If you have any settings on grounded difficulty that are banned, we're about to come into what settings you need to turn off. But if you're playing on grounded and you have any of those settings on, an option will appear that says you have settings on that we do not recommend for grounded. Do you want to turn those off? If that pops up, then you have to choose yes, and it will automatically turn off those settings for you. The same doesn't apply to moderate. Moderate will let you go through those settings without a prompt. So either way, after you start the game, and we'll go through the Sony and Naughty Dog title cards, what you then want to do is go to your settings, and I will show you all the settings that need to be off. And this applies to moderate as well as grounded. The settings that need to be off are the same. So as we can see, the difficulty shows us and confirms that we're on whole game permadeath and grounded. Under controls, we want lock on aim to be off. Under the HUD settings, we want awareness indicators to be off. Under this display settings, on PS5, it does not matter whether you have fidelity mode or performance mode, and whether you have unlock frame rate on or not. You can play in any performance mode that you choose. Under the accessibility settings, under magnification and visual aids, high contrast display needs to be off. Under navigation and traversal, enhanced listen mode, infinite breath, and skip puzzle option all need to be off. And every single setting under combat accessibility needs to be off. The only thing to note in these settings, as I say, if you have any of these on and the game gives you the option when you start a grounded playthrough, it says you have settings on we don't recommend, and you choose yes, it will turn them off. However, on moderate difficulty, awareness indicators will actually be on. It's either stealth or always, but either way, they'll be on by default. So you'll want to turn these off manually in order to comply with the rules. All of the other settings, if you've never touched any of the settings before playing, all the other settings should be in compliance with the rules. That's the only one specific to moderate difficulty that will by default be on. So again, just to make sure, if you're on moderate, still make sure this setting is off. And if you're on moderate, if you go to extras and gameplay modifiers, as you can see, you can't turn any of the cheats on grounded difficulty. They're locked. However, you can on moderate, so you need to go to this setting here and show that these are all off. And with that, that's every setting that you need to show in order to confirm that you're complying with the rules of the tournament. Now, it's not necessary to complete a permadeath attempt in a single sitting. Some people may choose to. Others may take multiple streams to do so. If that's the case, then when you quit out of the game and before you end the stream, what you should do is go to load game and show the save file, and that will confirm where you're up to, the in-game time, and also the time and date when you ended the attempt. Because when you next come to back to the game, you can show that setting again at the start of the stream in order to confirm that it's the same attempt and it's continuing. Which also leads me to mention the other rule that applies here is that when a run is live, i.e. you're on a permadeath attempt and you've not yet died, you are not allowed to practice in the middle of that run. So, say you've ended off just before Eastbrook Elementary on the last stream, you can't load up a save file before the next one and practice it and then go back into your main permadeath account and continue. The practice is not allowed. Practice before and after attempts, not during. And then other than that, the only other thing to mention is that you should show your save file every single session if you are completing a run over more than one session. If you complete it in a single sitting, showing the save file isn't necessary, but you should definitely show your settings at the beginning or end of the run. And if you complete the run over multiple sittings, show your settings in each sitting. Beyond the rules, the way that the tournament is going to work is that we're going to have an open qualifier session, which is beginning on the 6th of January and will run for 2 weeks. That means between the 6th of January and the 19th of January is the time that everyone who enters the qualifiers has to complete 3 attempts to beat whole game permadeath. From those attempts, those who get the furthest or get completions will be the ones who progress to the next round, up to 16 people. And if there are tiebreakers, say we had 17 people who all got permadeath completions, or in a future round 2 people are competing against each other, they both completed the game, or even they both died in the same encounter in the game, the way we would decide that as a tiebreaker is to use the time. So the person who got through the game up to the point where they died fastest is the one who would win out of the two. Now, we mentioned that on PS5, when you start a run, you need to have speedrun mode on. Obviously, if you go to the PS4 version, then when you go to start a new game, you have the option to turn on Permadeath, of course, but you don't have the option to turn on speedrun mode. And so in that case, what we're asking PS4 players to do, even if you complete the game in a single sitting, is to show the save file. And in the save file, as you can see from the random selection of save files here, it will show how long you've taken, in this case to beat the game, or in this case to get up to this point in time. That save file time is the time that's used by people who speedrun the PS4 version of this game as their official time that they submit, and therefore that's the time that we'll be using for PS4 players in order to measure how long it's taken them to get to the point where they died or to complete the game. And that covers all of the rules and how the tournament is going to work. As mentioned, the 6th of January is when the tournament starts, so anyone who hasn't signed up already, sign up by the 5th of January at the very latest. You sign up by joining our Discord, and when you do so, there is a category called Tournament Signups where you can declare what channel you will be streaming from and what category you're entering. There's everything to play for. A lot of great players in this tournament. So have fun and good luck.